Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. So today, I am going to be drawing and painting an iguana with micron pen and watercolor. So I actually did one. I was sitting in the car the other day and I drew a dinosaur and it inspired me to have a go and draw this little iguana. So I'm going to start with my micron pen. I thought I'm not going to go in with pencil first. I'm going to practice my drawing skills and just be brave and go straight in with micron, because I can always change a little bit here and there as I need to. And I've drawn so much for so many years. I've got a pretty decent eye for proportions, but I can also measure roughly against the picture. My finger lengths, you see people use their pencils to measure things. I can use, so the height of his eye comes around here. Got to maybe get that on a bit. I can add scales. If I need to enlarge that at all, I can actually add scales to the outside of it to lift it up a little bit. There's little tricks you can use if you've realised you've made a little flaw in your drawing. So his neck actually comes down on quite a strong angle. He's got a bit of his mouth comes down. Yeah, and the picture the other day inspired me to have a go at an iguana. I have done one a long time ago, but I thought I want to do another one. So he's got little spines down his back, like that, and then he's got longer ones that come up like that, and then he disappears off the page, like that. Okay, so then I come down onto his neck, like that, and he's got a little flap of skin down there that has spines on it, so I'll pop those on like that. Oops. Come down here like that and down onto his chest like that. They are magnificent looking animals, they really are. They are gorgeous. I do love lizards. We've got here in my garden, we've got blue tongues, all kinds of skinks, lots of snakes. Black snakes are absolutely gorgeous. The red-bellied black snakes, we've got those living here. They're absolutely beautiful to look at. Don't want to get too close to them, but they're beautiful. But their scales are just like, they're like liquid. They're beautiful. They shine like leather. All right, so come in and around here, like that. Okay, he's sort of got the base of the drawing happening. Now his nose is lifted up. It's got a little bit raised. So I'll put that around that outside edge. It's got a beautiful pupil. Like that. So yeah, I'm going to do this with micron pen and watercolour today. It's got a little bit of green there. All right. He's got a bit of a thing behind his ear there, and then down here, I can roughly draw in the area around his neck. He's got a big weird looking scale thing here that seems to be one of the main things on an iguana that's really makes them stand out. It's like a display thing, I suppose, or because up here's there's his ears here. This is his ear hole. So it's just a little thing there. Right, we're actually almost already at scale stage. So I'm going to draw the scales in. It'll be very this is so relaxing. If anyone wants to get into meditation, drawing scales is so chilling. It's so relaxing. You just zone out. So they've got little oval scales around their eyes. I'll take that all the way around like that to the back edge of the eye. And then underneath, he's actually got, which I will go over with darker micron pen in that little bit there. I can do it a step at a time. Come into here and take these little oval, keep them all sort of roughly around about the same size. Same here. And just continue that around the eye. And I've given myself a little guide to where I can go to with the eye scales. Like that. All right. Okay. So that's pretty much. Hello, Caroline. How are you? How are you? How are you? Welcome to my channel. So I'm just gonna go up now and grab. I've got a big pile of microns here. Grab a 03 or a 01 will do. Grab a 01 because I want to thicken up this line. I'm going to do lots of shading with micron. At the end, I'll add watercolor. This one, the ink's running out on it, I think. At the end, I'll add watercolor to the green areas because he's got beautiful, vibrant eyes and gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous scales around the bottom of his neck here. So I want to try and make those stand out. Now, down between these scales here, he's got a stronger line, like that. And then up here on his eyelid, he's also got a stronger one above that first line of scales. And I got my reference picture off Unsplash, which is a wonderful royalty-free reference site. All right, and he's got big scales. Doing well, that's adorable. Iguanas are so cool. Iguanas are gorgeous. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I absolutely love them. I think they are just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I'm actually going to colour his pupil in, but I do love lizards and any kind of reptile, really. Lucky to live in a country that we have a ton of different reptiles. I don't draw them a lot because there's a lot of work involved, but I do love them. I love looking at them. We've got tons of frogs, tons of snakes, quite a few lizards. But these little dudes are very, very cool. They are very, very cool. So I'm just going to get these bigger scales onto his nose. So how's your weekend been? It's Sunday morning here. Whereabouts on earth are you from? I get people from all over the planet. Excuse the lag in my camera. I'm using an iPhone app to project onto my thingy. There we go. I've actually got a new camera now that I'm just waiting on the memory cards to come, so then I'll have a proper camera for streaming. I won't be using a mobile phone. And that'll be wonderful. All right, so I've got the big scales happening. And then around his mouth, he's got I drew a dinosaur the other day, and I sort of based him off a lizard. He did look very much like a Komodo dragon, but you know, I didn't have. What do you base a drawing of a dinosaur on, apart from crocodiles and monstrously big, beautiful reptiles? But I did a raptor He's in my shorts, sitting in the car. But yeah, he's got these scales around his lips that go like that. And this is gonna be painstaking because I'm gonna use dots and things. I'm near Boston in Massachusetts. Ooh, Saturday 5:13 p.m. been organising computer files. Wow, go you. Go you. Oh, I spent the last hour deleting things off my phone so I had enough memory. I'm bad at computers. I have wonderful children who I scream help and they come and help me do stuff. But yeah, I've got a whiz-bang U-Butte gaming computer that I do my art on. The kids got it for me for my 50th birthday. But I don't know how to use half of the things on it. Okay, so I'm going to get these scales a little bit more oblong. So are you an artist as well, Carolyn? What do you do? Hang on, my little dog wants to jump up on my lap and say hello. You're going to come up and say hello? Whenever I stream, Bear always wants to come up and say hello. Say hello, Bear. This is Bear. He's my Jack Russell. And he's a little terror. And no matter what happens, whenever I stream, he has to jump up on my lap and say hello. Every single time. Not when I'm doing normal art. When I'm just sitting here drawing for myself, he doesn't worry. But when I'm streaming, he knows I'm on camera. And he says, oh, and he's caught up in my doodah. Hang on. There we go. Yeah, he always ends up jumping up on my lap. Hope that's not too loud for you, by the way. Okay, so I'll take that down onto his mouth and then they disappear. Yeah, my husband gets a lot of cries for help from me when I'm dealing with computer stuff. Yes. My kids are like, Mum, just don't touch anything. Text us because we live on a farm and they've got a house on the farm, same farm. And they're like, don't touch anything. Just call us. We'll come over. We'll fix it. And I'm like, my son-in-law is like, what did you do? And I'm like, I touched all the things. I touched all the things and I broke all the things. Yeah. Have a teeny tiny channel? Oh, good. I've got 4 cats. They take over my table. Yes, cats have a tendency of doing that. I've got 2 cats as well. I've got 2 cats, Minky and Minnie. And Minnie is really sweet and gentle, and Minky is trouble on 4 legs. She is a ninja cat. She is into everything all the time, and the boss of all the creatures on the farm, horses included. Sounds fine. Awesome. Thank you. So what do you do? What's your favourite thing? What's your art? What's your medium? I do everything. I do a bit of everything. I do digital. I love it. Love it all. I love all art. I'll write your name down because I don't know how to do the thingy where I can save it. Where's a bit of paper? I'm in an art room and I haven't got a piece of paper. Oh, it's all right. I'll write it on that. So Carolyn's. I won't write it on that. That's not going to work, is it? On the back of that. There we go. Carolyn's. And I'll look you up and pop a follow. Carolyn's Art Adventures. Cool. Well, that was a silly question I asked you then. Obviously, Art Adventures, you've got art in your name. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I should have read your name thoroughly, shouldn't I? But yeah, oh, cool. I'll love to check it out. But yeah, I focus on animals, but I do a little bit of everything. I've been working on portraits and florals and all that kind of stuff lately, trying to venture out of my comfort zone and do all different things. So I'm just getting the scales in a roundabout where they need to be. So he's got very big scales on his back. These ones get tiny. This is going to be a little bit time consuming. So just hang in there with me, peeps. He's got bigger scales here that come down off his chin under there. So I can just draw those in. And they're sort of hexagonal. So I'll get those happening. Like that. Still exploring different media, haven't settled. Watercolor, acrylics. Ooh, that sounds like fun. Yeah, I love acrylics, but I'm very impatient. I love the speed of watercolor. I love that I can do it in a sitting. I can do start to finish in a day. I love oil. I love watching people do oils. I haven't got the patience. I've got the attention span of a rat. Actually, so probably not a rat. Rats probably got better attention spans than me. Of a gnat. Let's go gnat. I've got the attention span of a gnat. So I can't spend days doing paintings. I start one, finish it in a day. But acrylic is wonderful. I love the fast dryingness. I love the forgivingness. You can do a whole lot with it. Try to take a different class most semesters to push into different. Ooh, cool! So much fun. Very good. Very good. So when you say, at uni or at online? Around here's been doing a lot of online classes lately. We've got a local art shop that has local artists who teach, and we've got a beautiful award-winning wildlife artist that lives around here. And I quite often try and get into his classes because he draws a lot. Like he loves the what's the word? Expression, like catching movement in animals, drawing from life, things like that. I haven't done oils yet. That's scary. Also worried about the toxicity of the materials. You can now, a lot of them, you can get them water soluble. I have water soluble oils. So you can use water instead of using the other mediums that you have to use with it. And because I live on a farm, I think sort of healthy for the nature and disposability and things. So it's water soluble, so I can rinse my brushes and do all that sort of stuff. And I've got a special pit thing. But I think that you can get ranges that are low toxic, non-toxic. There's so many out there now. I very rarely use them though, I have to say. I'm too impatient because I can't be bothered waiting for it to dry. And I end up with mud. Just adult continuing ed, recently online, but once this whole pandemic is back in person. Yes. Yep, cool. Yeah, same here. Same here. It's amazing what you can do online now. One of my favourite art teachers is doing online courses now. And you can do it all in the comfort of your own home. It just makes it so much easier, and you can get to the best artists in the world. You know, that to me is pretty spectacular. And up until pandemic, I'd never done anything much online. So I've learned a whole lot about being an online person. I mean, yes, I'd streamed and done YouTube, but I hadn't taken classes or done anything else, never made a Zoom call. My daughter's done university online for the last 2 years, pretty much. So this is their first year back that they've actually be able to go to campus. And she's 4th year now. So they've done two entire years off campus. All right, so I continue on. I'm just following these shapes around. Just keeping a sort of, they're not exact shapes. They're random, a little bit oval, a little bit all different shapes just to keep it interesting. You don't want it to look too uniform. And I've been thinking I want to try and draw a snake too. I haven't drawn and painted a snake in a long time. For years I haven't drawn and painted a snake. And I do need to practice them. Righto. It's actually coming along pretty quick. So they're the bigger scales now. He's got little scales under here that come all the way down onto his throaty flappy bit. They are actually in lines. It's good and bad, harder to get personal feedback. Yes, And since the teacher can't really see what you're doing, but so nice to have to drag myself and all the materials to class, not to have to drag myself and all the, yes, oh my God, yeah, because yeah, getting everything at one stage, I was having to go into the city and getting all your art supplies, carry them on a train because I didn't drive into town because I'm not really good at city driving. And I'm like, oh, I've got to carry all of this on a train. I had the world's biggest backpack. But I'm one that I take everything. Like I love all my supplies, so I take, instead of taking a little travel pallet, I take my full pallets because that's just how I roll. And because might want to colour off that pallet, so I take all of them because you just never know. I've been trying lately because wherever I go, I take my drawing stuff. But I've been trying to wheedle it down to taking just a handful of pens and a notebook, because I usually end up with 2 big bags full of stuff in my car as well when I go anywhere. Because sometimes I'll go into town and if I've got to wait or whatever, I'll just sit in the car, which was my short video the other day was sitting in the car. I had my notebook up against the steering wheel of the car because it was so damn hot I couldn't sit outside. It was like 38 degrees Celsius. It was just too hot to go out and sit out, so I sat in the car with the aircon on and drew there. But yeah, I quite often go to the zoo too, and I'll chuck a bag in. And I've got one of those bags with an easel built into it. So you flip the bag inside out, put all your stuff in it, flip it inside out, and then it becomes an easel. And you just stick a camera stand on the bottom of it. And not a camera stand? Oh yeah, camera stand, tripod. Stick a tripod on the bottom of it. And you've got yourself, and get a little travel stool, travel seat. And away you go. Bob's your uncle. And I quite often used to go to the zoo and do that. I still end up covered in bags. So I continue down here. So these ones are in lines, pretty much. I should do them a little bit more random shape, but too late now. I can just see my little cat walking past my window now. I've got 2 Jack Russells under my table, a cat walking around outside my window, birds everywhere, wild birds everywhere. The place is going crazy with animals lately. All right, which is good because I love looking at them. So these scales stay little. I've got to do the scales on his back now, actually. So I'm going to do, he's got little sort of raised uppy ones there. That's a technical term, raised uppy scales. Like that. Those are little, like, almost like shark's teeth ones. Then coming along his back, behind those taller ones. All right. And they start to get bigger. So, and he's got rounded but pointy. They're round bottomed but pointy topped. These big ones. And they are pretty random. And then all around them, these little ones, I'm drawing them as a teardroppy shape. But once I've shaded them, they'll be more like they're meant to be. I'm just getting the rough shape in. And disappears off the page. Come down into here. They are very symmetric. They look like little studs, actually. You know the studs you get on your boots and your jeans and things back in the 80s when you used to get the pointy studs. If you're a, what were they? Punks, like punk studs. That's what they look like. All right, and then we're going to enlarge these scales coming down here a little bit onto his. I've got to keep them a little bit random coming down onto his shoulder. There's a big fold, which I will add. I could probably actually get a larger micron now. Go a larger jobby. Get a larger one, if I can find one. Come here, larger doodah. Whoop, that's a 0.5, that's no good to me. I want a big one. I want a big, there we go. Go with 2. Grab me 2. Just going to leave all those out because otherwise I'm just going to start to darken in because they all start to blend. I could even go a bigger one, you know. I might grab a bigger one. Can I find a bigger one in my bag of tricks? Oh, I can. Woohoo. Got a 5. Go me. So, and that's what I love about microns too, is you can add watercolour over the top. Your watercolour does work beautifully. Now, he's got a very dark line around here. So I've used a 003 for the line work to this point. He's very dark around this. And once it dries, yeah, it'll be water resistant, so I can paint over the top of it. Some pens you can't, but these ones you definitely can. I do a lot of ballpoint pen work as well, and those you can't do it so much. But you can if you're very, very careful and delicate, but I can't, I'm not. So I use microns because then I can get away with it. So I've got to darken up around the top of his ear, which is this bit here. They're just magnificent colours. I mean, I am going to add watercolour over the top. Magnificent colours on these guys. Okay, so I can actually get some of the darker areas now. He's got darker around here. I can go in between these scales a little bit. I can really darken up that eyelid and maybe change the shape of it a fraction by taking that up to there like that. And he's got quite a strong line underneath. So I take that like that. Okay, let's have a look. Where else have we got? He's very dark here. I can take that down amongst those little scales there. Go around a few of those just to help with the... He's got a fold here, so I need to fill that in dark. So I'm just going to put the shape in like that and then fill it in. Like that. And I'm using, for this, I'm using hot press watercolour paper, Arches, 175 gram. So, because if I was to do this on normal drawing paper, it would not hold the watercolour paint well. And I do have sketchbooks that have water resistant, like they're used for watercolour. What's the word? You know what I mean? As well as pen, they're mixed media. But I find the watercolour reacts differently. I prefer, if I'm going to do it drawing with watercolour, I will use watercolour paper because the different brands of paper do react differently with the paint. And I use Sennelier and Schmincke watercolours, and I've got into Core for human portraits. Core watercolours are gorgeous and vibrant, but every brand acts a little bit differently. And Core's very reactive, very flowy. But for my animals, I use Sennelier and Schmincke because they're just my favourite go-tos. You've got to have favourites, I suppose. And they were my first foray into proper professional watercolours. Okay, he's coming along. He's coming along. He's looking like a lizard. That's always a good thing. It's always a good thing. I like it when they look like they're supposed to look. Because I do have days where I look at something and go, what the hell happened to that? And what was I thinking? Because I'll do a drawing and it just won't look like anything particularly. Or I'll do a human portrait and be like, why is that eye doing that? Why? And then I'll try and fix it and I'll end up with eyes pointing in every direction. As you do. And I've got to randomise the shape. Oh, my coffee! Don't forget your coffee, love. I keep forgetting my coffee. Hang on, have a sip of my coffee. There we go. There we go. But yeah, whoops, squirrel. Forgot what I was talking about. Attention span. But yeah, I'm supposed to actually start up. I go to with that amazing wildlife artist, Will Ritchie. He's on Instagram. If you want to check him out, a beautiful wildlife artist is William Ritchie on Instagram. I think it's William Ritchie on Instagram. You'll know him because he's the one with all the wildlife drawing paintings, and he does oil paintings that take years to finish. He does gorgeous little wildlife sketches, like really fast, zippy movement gestural sketches, but then he spends years on other pieces, and they're just ridiculously good. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So I'm supposed to start classes up, going back to, because they've opened them up again next month. So hopefully it all goes ahead with the way the world is, who knows. Because, yeah, I miss drawing with people. It is nice to go to class, even just for the social side of it. So and we've got, like I said, it's our art shop in our town, in our next town, next to us. So it's nice and handy. All right, and we've got some of the best artists in the country there, which is really nice. Or that I consider to be the best in our country. All right, so I keep coming down here. Okay, this is time consuming, peeps. It's probably like watching grass grow, but yeah, luckily I can talk the leg off a chair. I never shut up, so just hang around for the chat. Feel free to jump in with any topics that you want to talk about. Any questions that you'd like to ask. I'm happy to have a go at answering questions if there are any. So I come around here and I'm just continuing on. I mean, this sort of picture you could spend forever. I think I did a crayfish, or I think you guys call them crawfish, or yabbies, crayfish, small cray. I did a picture of one of them, and I think that took me about 6 hours because I drew every scale, and I did the water, and then I did the rocks, and I was like, uh-oh, got a little bit obsessed with detail. I've got to relax a little bit with some of it. Like this will give me a lot of washes over the top, so it won't be. I will do some shading. I'll go between the lines because between these scales are very black. So I'll get a big micron and fill in between the scales. That's going to take some time. But there you go. Got all the time in the world, haven't we, peeps? I'm going to try and do this in one sitting, though. I am going to try and do this in one sitting. We'll see how we go with that. Because I haven't streamed for a little while. Because I was having things going on, university for my daughter, and didn't have the time. So now I can actually sit down and spend a few hours just with you guys, hanging out. I don't have the patience for that. Oh, I can't do days worth. I've got to do it in a sitting. I'm hopeless. I did the 6 hour one. Actually, I lie. I did that in 2-3 hour sittings because I actually did that at art class. The crayfish. So that was 2-3 hour sittings. But I do tend to like to sit, and I was streaming on Twitch for a little while, for about 6 or 8 months. And I did one 12-hour stream. Actually, I did a couple of 12-hour streams. I don't think they delete their videos though, so I don't think they're up anymore. But that was like a drawing bonanza. It was nuts. I got really down into details. But I love, like, because the watercolor is so fast. Like, literally, the watercolor is a couple of minutes to get the detail I want. The drawing part's the detail and the hard bit. The watercolor for this is just washes. I do a lot of normal watercolors. I've got an Instagram. It's also Jen's World About Art, if you want to check that out. Later I'll link it in the thingo below. On my Instagram and my Twitter and all that sort of stuff, because I post shorts and reels and little short videos that like about a minute. So sped up of what I do on here. Same as a short, a YouTube short. But uh-oh, I had a squirrel moment again. I forgot what I was talking about. I always forget what I'm talking about. It's like squirrel. But yeah, on my Instagram, that's right, Instagram, I've got short videos and time lapses, lots of time lapses. And I try to convert most of my full-length videos on here to shorts, because lots of people, they're standing around having a cup of coffee. They want to watch something quick, smart, not a whole 2 hours of chatting. So I try to do that as well. Right, he's getting there. I'm liking how he's looking. I'm already, I'm sort of looking at it going, I'm already planning ahead. I'm already thinking, okay, well, I've got to get my big micron so I can add in the fill in between the scales. I've got to add shading to not all of the scales. I'm not going to go overboard and do every single scale with shading. I'll leave something to the imagination, and there's less is more, as says she who's just done like about 10,000 bloody scales. Absolutely beautiful. Hello, Anjali. How are you? Welcome. Another one of my wonderful artist buddies. How are you? And thank you. Yes, I love drawing lizards. I do love drawing lizards. And I haven't done one in a while. I did a dinosaur the other day, and it inspired me to get back into lizards. So I'm just going to... Anjali does beautiful abstracts. I actually watched one of your videos this morning. Oops, and I dropped my pen on the floor. Oh, where did that go? Oh, I don't know. I'll find it later. It's fine. It won't have gone far. It's amazing. I can drop something on the floor and it disappears. It's just gone. Like it just evaporates. I don't understand. Probably because I look with my eyes shut. But yeah, I'm doing, micron pen. I love micron pen. I love ballpoint pen too. I adore drawing with ballpoint pen, because you can get different thicknesses of lines. If you move your pen on different angles, you can get lots of different effects. But you can't put watercolor over the top unless you're super duper duper careful. I have done ink washes over the top of ballpoint pen, but still smudges. You can't get it clean with microns. You can have a clean finish. And these guys' scales are very clean, like very organized. And it's fun when you do detail like this too. I highly recommend have a go at doing something with lots of little detail, because it does teach it improves your observing skills. You learn to look a bit deeper and you learn to look for different things. I found that, doing more detailed work has really helped my eye to see the simple little things, because you look for everything when you try and add detail. But yeah, it teaches you how to look. And I never used to be this much detail. I never used to. I've just sort of grown into it in the last few years as I got more confident and a bit more practiced. I'm just going to fill in between these scales, and I've just gone to a larger micron so it's not so time consuming, because they are very dark in amongst all of their big scales. So if I had an even larger one, I would use it. I might have, if I dig deep enough into my bag of tricks, I might have a size 8. And that would take some of the time out. Let's have a look. Let's have a look in me thing. Excuse me. No, I'm sure I've got a size 8 somewhere. I've got all the other things. I've got all of the things. No, apparently I don't. I only got up to 5s. Well, there you go. I thought I had a bigger one. Okay, I don't have a bigger one. We'll just stick with me 8, me 5. Let's do that. I'm sure I had a bigger one, but anyway. I have more pens I have pens everywhere. I've got pens up on the shelf. So I've probably, now I've put it down. Where did I put the silly thing? There it is. I have bags and bags and bags of pens that I've accrued over a lifetime, because I'm a hoarder. I keep everything. So I've got all my pens, and these pens last forever. Some of these pens I've had for years. Like, I've had my paints for 20 years. My watercolors, they last that long. I've had my Australian brand of paint, Art Spectrum. I've had the palette, the same palette, refilled maybe twice for 20 years. Because you just use that little an amount, you get forever out of them. My Sennelier ones I've had for about 5 or 6 years, and I top up a couple of colours, but the rest of them have never been topped up. They just stay. I mainly use blues and browns to mix greys and natural colours. I use lots of blues and transparent sienna. It's a reddy brown, love it. Great natural colour. I think transparent sienna is my favourite colour of all time. Oh, and Indian red. Or caput mortuum. Love caput mortuum. So I'm just filling in around these scales. So who's got a favourite colour? Has anyone used favourite colours? I have definitely got my favourite base colours that I like to use. It's cobalt blue, burnt umber, transparent sienna, Indian red, and my other dog is climbing. I've got shelves. And it's got all my bags that I use to carry things in. I can hear her shuffling around in all my bags. She's not good in stormy weather, and we've been having lots of storms. So she's hiding under my bags on my shelf. We've actually made her a puppy cubby for stormy days so she can get into her cubby house. It's like a snuggie thing that wraps around her, but it's all dark like a cave. She loves it. So I'm just darkening up around all of these. All right, having a quick look at my screen. We're doing all good. The top ones are not so much. It's really just around his throat. The rest of it I can get away with watercolour, I think. So I'll just continue on. Oh, me coffee. Gosh, I need to drink me coffee. In my acrylic work, I love bright colours, jewel tones. Ooh, I love purples. Yes. Blues and purples. My friend Aurora at Aurora's Art World, she does acrylics, and she's wonderful. She's lovely with acrylics. And she's just got metallics. I think they're metallic acrylic paint. And that's like, wow. You could just have some fun with that. Because I also love doing medieval stuff like armour and knights and things like that. But yeah, metallics in acrylic. So check out Aurora at Aurora's Art World. because she does beautiful stuff. So I think she saw it on Joni Young's art channel. I think she got her into that the metallic acrylics. Hello, Shane. How you going, doll? How are you? Shane's one of my Twitch buddies and just an all-round friend and a radio guy, and his mum's awesome and made me a beautiful tapestry, and they're just a gorgeous family. How are you, Shane? And how's your mum? Metallics are awesome. I've never tried them. I have in pen, but never in paint. It could be fun. I could see it. I could go down a wormhole of all kinds of craziness with metallics. So I haven't got them. So how you going, Shane? How's mum? How's your mum? How's all the fam? Shane's in England. So they've been having all kinds of COVID issues, as have we. I think everyone has. All right, so he's coming along. I'm quite happy. I've got to darken up around most of these little scales. So I'm just going to be a bit careful. I don't want to lose them. So come around here. So this is just building up. It is exactly like any other process of painting. Is building up. Lights to darks, and I've got so used to doing that with watercolor, working from light to dark, building up your lights, palest layers first. And I find I do that in everything now. Like even drawing, start off with the palest and then work my way to dark. She's good. She's with me now. Hello, Mum, then. Hello. All kinds of cold weather. Yeah. Oh, we've had all kinds of hot weather. We've had record-breaking heat. We had a Western Australia town had 51 degrees last week. With Celsius. So that's, I don't know, what's 120, 130, something stupid like that. It was just terrible. Half a cup of coffee. 100 degrees is boiling point, and it was 50. It got to over 50. My friend lives in WA, and I'm like, God, you couldn't live there without a swimming pool. You just couldn't go outside. It'd be too bloody hot. We got to 38 this week. Just been watching Nutty. Cool. Cool. All right. So Jen says hi from YouTube if she's still on. These are my Twitch buddies. I'd never heard of Twitch up until a couple of years ago, and I've met so many awesome people over there. Got lots of Twitch buddies. And I'd never heard of it up until 2 years ago. But they are, if you love a chat and love lots of pure streaming, Twitch is awesome. And there's every kind of streamer, from arts and crafts, you name it. Okay, so come down here. Fill all of this in. The top one's not so much. Freezing here, 13 Fahrenheit, which I think is 10 Celsius. Yeah. Hang on, I'm going to Google. So today's going to get to like 35 here. So I don't know what's so Celsius. Oh, press a button. Celsius to Fahrenheit. Yeah, 10's. I like cool weather though. So Celsius is, so today we're going to get to 35. 95. So that's not too bad. The other day, yeah, in South Australia it got to 122. Which is just flippin' crazy. All right. Yeah, I could definitely not live there. Just saying. Okay, so now I'm going to come down and darken up the underside. of these scales. Look like shark's teeth almost. I don't want to go around the whole outline of them, just the underneath. It's going to be sort of in shadow. Same on the top, actually. Come up and around here. I'm just about to the point where watercolour can come into it, because these lighter greens around these ones. I could go around these. Do I want to go around these? I don't want to go around all of them. I do have to fill in some around here though. -10. -10. Carolyn. -10. I misread that because we don't get that lower temperature. That's horrifyingly cold. That's rip your lips off cold. That's not good. Owie. Ow. That's hurting cold. Oh my God. That's like, ew. I like cold. I've never experienced that kind of cold in my life. I imagine that would be almost as bad as extreme heat, extreme cold. My son-in-law's Canadian, and I know they get extreme cold, but and we get very little snow, very little. Like it sits on the ground for a couple of hours if you're lucky. In the depths, the deepest, coldest winters around here, we get snow very occasionally, but it never gets much below -3, ever, ever. That's a whole world of cold that I couldn't even imagine. Oh, that's funny. That's scary, actually. I do have to go round. So I'm basically going to darken it. I'm going to leave a lot of those darker. I'm going to go not a lot of these. I'm going to go round a little. I'm not going to do the whole thing dark like that. So I'm just going to highlight little areas. Hello, Ree. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you like it. I hope I said that right. Rye or Ree? Welcome and thank you. I'm glad you like it. It's lots and lots of fun. It was -3.5 yesterday, and nutty right now it's -20. Wow. Yeah, no, that's scary. That's scary shite. That's just not world of good at all. Not good at all. Yeah, no, we never get that cold. Never, ever, ever. I don't think any part of Australia ever gets that cold, because we're more of a desert country. We get intense heats, not intense colds. We do the literally polar opposite. I mean, I've been to the Alps up here. I've been snow skiing where we have, if you go up north? Yeah, north of us, there's snow country. They call it the Snowy Mountains. But even there, I don't think it gets that cold. It only gets to like -6 or 7 at top, like at worst. I don't know that it ever gets that cold. That's intense. My brain's hurting just trying to imagine it. You'd have to have some really thick underwear. This is cold for us. It's normally above freezing during the day and just a bit below at night. Yeah, see, we'll get sub-zero at night. Not like in the depths of the deepest part of winter in the middle of June, we'll get -1. But then you'll have a beautiful day, 20 plus 20-ish. It'll be a gorgeous day. I like 20 normal degrees. I don't know what that is in conversion. But around 20 Celsius is heaven to me. Anything above that, I tend to go, it's just too hot. But we've got mid-30s now. Constantly. No break. Mid-30s and storms. So I suppose that's 60s. No, hang on. Googling. Mid-30s. So if I go, we'll go 35. So yeah, 95 and storms we get. I just had to do a Google. In the depths of summer anyway. That's what we're having at the moment. So I don't do much outside. But the weather has been so extreme, and I think that's been the same across the world. This is cold for us. It's normally above freezing. Yes. Yeah, but yeah, it's I think the world has the climate change. Things are changing. Global warming. The weather's definitely much more extreme, storm-wise. We've had way more storms and hurricanes and tornadoes than we've ever had. Which has been interesting, scientifically. All right, now I'm not going to do everything. I'm not going to darken up everything, as you can see, because otherwise it'll look too heavy. I've done all underneath because that's in shadow. But now I'm just going to fill in sections, not the whole thing, because then I'll add watercolor also. So this just helps to define him a little. Because if I do it all, fill in every scale, it'll just look too dark. This is where learning where to stop, when to stop. Look at me, I can't even colour in the lines. I drew a really detailed lizard and I can't colour in between the lines. I'm just making all little scribbles. I do love scribble art. Have you seen scribble artists? Oh my God, people who can create things out of scribble. I love that. I'm going to disappear. I was only around for a short time. You're all right, Shane. Not a problem, mate. It was good to see you even for a little bit. Give Mum a giant hug for me. You're absolutely fine, doll. Life happens. And it's Saturday night. You need to be doing stuff. It's not here. It's Sunday morning here. What time is it now? I don't even know what time it is. 10 o'clock. There you go. It's 10 o'clock here. In the morning, Sunday morning. And all my family's gone out and doing stuff. So here I is, arting. My older kids are working. My younger one's with my husband. And they've gone to a competition. All right, he's looking pretty good. I need to go feed the cats and humans. I'll drop back in later if it's done. Cool bananas, Carolyn. It was awesome to see you, doll. Thank you for popping in and hanging out for a little bit. It was lovely to see you. Stay warm. Stay warm. It's going to darken up a little bit. I'm going to start with the watercolour very, very soon. I actually can I can go around these scales on the eyes because they are a lot more defined. Shane's usually my reminder to drink my coffee. Shane just popped in, so it's like, oh yeah, I better drink my coffee. Okay. Because the scales around the eyes are dark, or around the edges of the scales around the eyes are dark. So I'm just going to fill all of that in, like that. Come down into the corner there, and I reckon we're just about ready to start with watercolour. Exciting times ahead, people. This is the bit. This is the thing. I'm hoping it doesn't smudge. My microns don't usually, but you just never know on the day what's going to go wrong because that happens. Murphy's Law and all that. So we are going to start with the eye. And we're going to start with, I'll get my cloth out. So I've got my little bit of kitchen towel. Get me brush, make sure it's clean. I cleaned my water bowls before I started. And I'm going to start with red orange. I didn't spray me paints. Hang on. I'm going to spray me paints because you've got to revive them. So I've got me water bottle. Hang on. There we go. Me water bottle. It's just any old squirty bottle that I've used all the stuff in. I fill it with clean water. And I use that to revamp and re-flourish my watercolours. Get my palette. Where's my palette? Oh, there it is. Found it. Okay, put my palette up here. Just checking my thing was working. So now he's got an orange eye. So first of all, I'm going to leave a little bit of white for a highlight. And because it's micron, I can go over the top of it. Okay, so there we go. And he's also got orange. It's probably the heat lamp in his cage, in his glass, whatever whatever these lizards live in. And also his eary bit is orange. The rest of him, he's got orange on his nose, and I can just go over the top of all of this like that. And you can see he starts to come to life a little bit. And this is where I love mixed media. Because I love drawing. Above all else, drawing's my passion. Drawing is my absolute most favourite thing on earth to do. So now I'm going to go a bit of phthalo green. Phthalo is a super duper 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 bright green. It's almost Kermie green, Kermie the frog green. So I'm going to dilute that, and I'm going to run that down over the top of all this bottom. I've got it very diluted, so it's not quite as intense. You can't really see that on camera. So I'm just taking that down and around. And I can add some tonal values. And yeah, because this is Archer's hot press. So I love hot press paper for wildlife. And I'm going to take that all around here, especially drawing. And then coming onto his shoulders. So he has green around his eyes. And I'll build up the layers, so I'm working light to dark. So I will start with the palest colours and then go darker. I need a bigger brush. I've got the silliest little brush. I need to go my larger brush. Here, larger brush, larger brush, larger brush. What do I do with it? Oh, shiver me timbers. Where's my larger brush? Oh, I've put it. Where did I put it? I'll have to grab another one. There we go. I'll use that one. That'll do. Okay, so grab back into the green. I can go all over the top of all of these. And I use silver black velvet brushes. I love them. They are very handy. So for now, I'm just going to fill all of that in with this pale green. And I'm going wet paint onto dry paper, so it doesn't flow as much. Go over the top of all that. And he's orange underneath, so I'm going to get some more of that orangey colour and start to build up. He's orange under here and around here. So I can add the orange onto there. And the black pen actually diffuses it a little bit too. It does make it look a tone or two darker. I'm going to add a little bit of that orange onto here while it's still damp. Where's my brush? My brush has got look, my brush is doing things. It got stuck on the edge of my. I have to get some soap and try and smooth that down. There we go. So my thingies on my brush aren't going rogue. All right, now he's a darker grey up the top, but I'm going to use a little bit of a blue, a bit of, what colour is this? It's like an indigo. It's a deep indigo, I think it's called. So I'm going to use this on these scales. It's not really, there we go. So I'm just going to go onto these scales, the darker scales around his face. And these ones around the back of his head. And I'm literally just dotting on top of the scales. I don't mind if it flows off them a little bit. I don't mind if it blends in a little bit with the green in the back, because it is a greeny blue. Anyway, it's got it'll blend well. It won't do weird things and create all the wrong colours. And I do tend to mix a lot of my own colours. Now these are all dark, these big round ones. So I'm going to go onto them with the indigo. I've got two different colours indigo. I've got deep indigo and I've just got indigo. So I will use the other indigo as well. I tend to steer away from black. I make my own black with burnt umber and cobalt blue, or burnt umber and ultramarine blue, or indigo and ultramarine blue makes a great really dark. I do have a black paint, but I very rarely use it because you do get more natural. I'll make up a black for you now. So I've got my normal indigo, and I'll go a bit of burnt umber. That's not burnt umber. I've stuck my thing in the wrong thing. Hang on, that's burnt umber. There we go. Burnt umber and indigo makes a very almost black. So now I'm going to drop that in the top of the scales and let that flow around a little bit. On top, wet onto wet, so wet paint. And just let that flow around. And it doesn't flow as much on smooth paper. This is the hot press paper, so it doesn't flow as much. I'm going to dilute it down quite a bit. Come onto these scales around his mouth, because the centres of them have got darker colour. My brush is hairy at the end. That's not good. It's a new brush too. It needs a trim. Hang on. No, it's alright. I'll tidy it up later. So I'm just going to add this darker tone to the scales around his mouth. Coming down here. I'm not going to do a background colour on him. I'm keeping him more like a cameo, I suppose. What would you call it? I'm going into the blue a little bit here. Actually, I'm going to grab a different green. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go a bit of Hooker's green. A bit of Hooker's green. So it's a slightly stronger green. And I'm going to start to get a little bit darker around here. Or not darker, it's a stronger tone. It's not darker at all, it's just stronger. And I can get some different greens on him. So you don't want all just one colour. I can go over that whole drawing down here. Come up around there. Around there. Like that. And start to get a little bit of three-dimensional effect happening. I can add purple to shadow areas. I can go over all those. There we go. He's coming together. Right, so let's have a look. I've got to get some darker greys. So I'm going to go my indigo again. Beautiful indigo. So I'll bring my palette a little bit closer. So that's my indigo. And a bit of burnt umber. Less burnt umber this time. Just to grey it up a little bit. Like that. And then, anywhere I see, I can go a bit darker onto the scales there. Between his mouth, that's his mouth, the centre of his mouth there. So I'm going to darken up that line there. And maybe dampen my brush and then drag that to define that lip scale a bit more. There we go. Like that. And now I'm going to get back into the eye. I'm going to let that dry for a little bit because I've got a lot going on. I'm going to wet the eye a little bit here. So re-wet it because it's dry. And I'm going to drop in some transparent sienna because he's got different tones in his eye as well. So drop in a little bit of transparent sienna like that and let it flow. Beautiful. I love how watercolour just does its own thing. I like that a lot. All right. Now on here, he's got also darker greens. So I'm going to go a bit of brown green, I reckon. little bit of brown green on there, onto this, into the inner ear bit, like that, and a little bit of that browny green onto here, just to create a little bit of interest on there, and then also a bit of that grey, on there. Well, my brush end's doing weird stuff, but that's okay. Mix up some more of that browny grey, indigo, burnt umber, and take that around there, like that. All right, let's have a look. All right. Now his back scales are grey, stronger, but I'm going to use blue because I love blue. So these scales that come down here. And I can also go back in now to these other ones that are a little bit drier, and I'm popping pure indigo onto the dots, onto the tops, like that. Then come down here, strengthen it. Well, now they're grey, they are bluey grey, so I'm going to bluey grey these, like that. You can always go a bit of gouache. If you lose some lights, you can always add a little bit of gouache, which I might do, but we'll see. Because he's coming, we're getting there. We're getting towards the business end of this one. So I'm just going to strengthen up some of these oranges around his mouth, like that. Just getting a little bit of fun bit details back in. I'm going to strengthen up, get a bit of pure pigment, so not, oh my God, my brush is behaving very naughty, very naughty. So I'm just going to take that onto the bottoms of those scales, just to keep them a little bit of variation on them for a bit of interest. You don't want everything just flat one colour. All right, I'm going to go a little bit of gouache now. I've got white gouache. I always have a little bit of white gouache on my palette. It's always handy. I've just got to re-wet it. And I've got to pop a little bit back in his eyes because I lost a little bit of a highlight there. So I'll pop a little bit of that there. A bit more maybe. I actually have a green micron that I can add back in a little bit of so it's not bright white, it just takes it back a fraction. All right, let's have a look. He looks pretty cool. He looks pretty cool. I'm pretty happy. I've got to take that orange back down, clean my brush thoroughly, get the gouache off it, because I use my watercolour brushes, the same brushes for everything. I just wash them thoroughly and just take that down. So now I'm just looking for anywhere that I can see that I need to add any more pigment. I'm going to go back in around. I might add a bit of yellow, you know. Might go a bit of yellow into a part of his eye. Okay, and I'll go around the edge of his eye with, I do have a green micron, because around his pupil he does have, there we go, and I've got it first up. I found these coloured microns. And I'm just going to go around the edge of his pupil. He does have a little bit of a green bit there. And I might even be a bit cheeky and use a Posca pen. Where's my Posca pen? For the white. Because I just got to get the doodah out of the end of it. There we go. I just got to try not, I just don't want it to blob and drop a big blob because that would upset me. Doesn't want to do it. Why is it not, my white's not doing its thing? That's not going to work. I know I've got another one here somewhere. Where are you? Got to have a look at. Oh, there's a big one. Ooh, that's a bit scary. We'll go for the big Posca. Ha ha ha. That'll work. Oh shit. Okay, that's all right. I'll just pick that up with the end of my cloth because that did exactly what I didn't want it to do. It blobbed, but that's okay because I can go over the top of it. So what I'm going to do is actually drop that on the floor and then get my little brush and brush the end of the Posca pen. That's better. Should have done that in the first place, shouldn't I? I'll let that dry and I'll go over it. You won't even notice. You won't even notice. Promise. Where there's a will, there's a way. Not the end of the world. And if it does go horribly wrong, guess what? You get to do it again. Not the end of the world. Never cry over a painting. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'll just do it again. Worst scenario, do it again. Do it till you get it right. There we go. See, tidying him up. And I did have an orange. I'm pretty sure I've got an orange micron. Yep, I do. There he is. I'll grab him. And I will tidy up that as well. The bit that I did there with micron. And I can get a bit of interest going back in the eye again, like that. Tidy up that edge. And this paper is tough. It handles a lot. Because if that was on thinner paper, I probably would have worn a hole in it, which wouldn't have been good. So, yeah, the better the quality of paper you can get, the better you'll be. Your art will turn out. I really do. If you use the best you can possibly afford, it really does make the world of difference. I'm going to go stronger greens now, a little bit stronger green. I'm going into my hookers green. And I'm just going to add that onto a few of these scales that look a bit darker or a bit stronger toned. Not necessarily darker, just more vibrant. Stronger toned. So I can just start to get them how I need them. Like that. Alright. He's pretty cool. He's looking pretty cool, peeps. What do you guys reckon? I'm pretty happy with him. I'm just going to strengthen up some of this. Pop a few wiggly bits. Bit of interest around here. I don't want him all just that pale, sickly colour. And he is a green iguana, so he needs more green. We think. There we go. Take that up and around that line. There we go. I reckon I'm going to call him done, peeps. I'm going to sign it. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. Thank you for hanging out and having a chat. I'm just going to use whatever's on my palette to sign it. Thank you for having a chat. You guys and girls have been awesome fun. I will be back soon with another stream. I make short videos most days. So, yep, love it if you check those out as well. Click like, subscribe, all that jazz. And yeah, thank you so much for being here. Have an awesome weekend. And